Hey guys, Jack here, Obsessed Fishing, and today I'm coming at you with another Tackle Warehouse unboxing. This unboxing is going to be of my wintertime baits. So I'm going to show you a bunch of baits that I'm ordering that I'm going to fish mostly during the winter. These baits are going to be more cold water baits, slower moving baits, baits that I personally feel will get me some fish during these tough times of fishing. And hopefully, my point today isn't to just show you a bunch of tackle. I hope you learned something today, so I'm going to show you what I got and why I got it, which I think is a little bit more important. I think we get so caught up in these unboxings of, oh man, this is so cool, all these cool new baits, and it's so exciting. But then we need to remember why I actually spent money on these baits, and it's because I want to catch fish, and here's why I thought these baits. So I'm going to do a lot of these unboxings this year, hopefully. I'm going to do it hopefully by season, so you'll see some spring unboxings, some fall unboxings, summer unboxings, you know, just a bunch of different unboxings and I'm going to show you baits that I really like, or I think, or I'm trying out next year, and I'll let you know. You'll see in the videos whether they catch from me or not. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first bait I see is going to be Zoom Finesse worms. These are in watermelon red color, and these worms are going to be more of a finesse. These are the 4.5-inch worms, and they're basically a smaller trick worm. What I'm going to use these for usually is really finesse shaky heads. In the wintertime, sometimes going finesse is the best way. The water in a lot of my places that I fish tends to clear up during the winter. So that clear water means they get a good look at the bait. So a small, finesse, natural presentation can sometimes be the ticket. The next bait we have, we'll reach into this monster box, is full-size trick worms. These are in green pumpkin purple. And these baits, again, along the shaky headlines. I really, really like a shaky head in cold water. I love it in the winter, I love it in early spring. Really, I love it all year long, but it seems to excel for me in cooler water over some other baits sometimes. So I really, really love it. So, full-size trick worms, a natural color like green pumpkin. Again, something that they're used to, something that they like. I love green pumpkin, I love watermelon. So that's the next bait on the list. Rooting through piles of tackle. It doesn't get much more fun than this. Next up, along the finesse lines, we're going to have some robo worms. These right here are 6 inches in Aaron's Pro Shad color. This is a really shaddy type of color. It's a blue with some white. And now Dropshot is another key finesse presentation that I love all year long, but especially in cold water, it's another great one. Really, a Dropshot is a bait that you never put down. At least for me, I never put it down because it's always going to catch me a fish. I don't care if it's the heat of summer, the dead of winter, they catch fish. So, my favorite Dropshot worm has to be the robo worm. They catch me so many fish, their action is just incredible. So, for the winter, I went with a shad base pattern, considering a lot of the lakes, you know, there's a lot of shad in them this time of year. Sometimes they can get on a shad bite in the winter time, especially down deep. Some of those shad go deep and they might fall for this Dropshot worm. So we're going to go with some more robo worms again, but now I'm going to go into some more natural brown and greens. This happens to be oxblood red flake. A really natural brown with some red flake in it. Should work really well. You know, again, finessey, natural, trying to entice those sluggish bites. That metabolism of the bass slow down a lot, which means they're not jumping on everything they see, which means you got to really entice them to bite. Because the thing is, they're not going to go chasing your bait. You know, they usually aren't going to chase your bait 50 feet down a riprap bank to hit your crankbait or your worm. So you're going to have to be really slow and something really, really enticing. And the robo worm definitely meets that standard. The next color of robo worm is Aaron's Pro Magic, which is a green base with a little bit of blue belly. So it's kind of a unique color. Kind of looks like some sort of, you know, maybe a sunfish or something. Really, you know, a lot of times I feel like bass just bite out of curiosity. Now, there aren't many fish with green backs and completely blue bellies that are really long and skinny. It's just curiosity. And so something as this, as long as it gets bites and it's enticing, I'm going to throw it. And this natural green color tends to get a lot of bites for me, so I picked up a pack of that for the wintertime fishing. Once again, along the lines of drop shots, you can't go drop shotting without drop shot weights. I got here some 1/8 ounce ball head, 1/8 ounce ball sinkers, just the regular round ball drop shot sinkers. These are bullet weights. They're pretty cheap because, you know, if you're fishing in rocks and other things, you can break off sometimes. So I don't like to go with tungsten on my drop shots. Usually because that worm is weightlessly attached just to the line, when a fish picks it up, I almost always feel it. especially since I throw my spinning rods and reels with braided line, so it's no stretch, so it's super sensitive, so I usually do not have a problem picking up that bite. Along with that, I got some Roboworm rebar hooks. These are my absolute favorite drop shot hooks. I'm a big believer in Texas rigging a Roboworm. You know, I'm not, you know, if you're up smallmouth fishing and you're fishing these little tiny minnow baits, nose hooking, fine. But for me, I really don't feel, as long as you have a really good, proper drop shot hook, Texas rigging is not going to affect the action and the bites. I can tell you, I fish almost straight Texas rig my drop shots just to keep me out of snags and allows me to be confident enough to throw my bait into areas that other anglers might not throw their drop shot because of the nose hook. And trust me, these thin wire hooks penetrate almost every time. Believe it or not, the biggest bass I ever caught on these light wire hooks was a 9-pounder, my biggest personal best, so I have a lot of faith in the hooks and a lot of faith in the drop shot. So gotta pick some of those up. Next, we have some interesting baits here. We're going along with the Swimbaits. I got here some small Kitech. I don't care how you say them. Rat on me in the comments. I'm calling them Kitech 4-inch swing impacts. These are the regular ones. They're a much thinner body style and really finesse. Imitate small bait fish. You know, maybe a small shad that's dying off. You know, a lot. I know there's some. I think there's shad spawns both in the spring and the fall. So maybe these are just imitating the hatchling. But really, as long as it gets bites, I don't care what it's imitating. You know, you've never seen a pink or a methylate colored worm in the real life, but bass eat them really good. So, you know, a small swim bite like this is just gonna look natural enough that they're gonna eat it anyway. So definitely pick some of those up. Along the swim bait lines, I went with a bigger one. This is the 4.8-inch fat, so this is going to be imitating those bigger shads. I'm going to be fishing in the wintertime. I'm going to be fishing this several ways. Could fish it on a scrounger, could fish it on a fish head spin, or just a big heavy ball jig head. I'm going to be fishing this usually deep, at least in the wintertime. That's what my plan is, just slowly drugging it along the bottom. Pick up some fish, hopefully. If we're continuing along the swim bait line, I got some Fluke Juniors. These are this is just a regular Fluke. This is like the smaller size. I'll show you I got two colors, white, pearl, and albino. And you can see they don't even have a slit in the belly. They're just a tiny Fluke. And these can make great trailers for chatterbaits and stuff. But one of the real reasons I got them was for this right here. This right here is a bait. It's been a lot of talk. It's been talked about, and I just finally picked one up. Fish head spin. This is a 3/8 ounce albino color. The reason I picked 3/8 ounce over say a ½ ounce is actually I did order some ½ ounce, but they were on back order. The 3/8 ounce I just picked because it was a great all-around pick. Because I knew I fish a good amount of ponds, so I figured why not pick a 3/8 ounce up and try it in some pond. Because in a pond, a 3/8 ounce is pretty heavy. ½ ounce is way too heavy to throw a fish head spin. So that's gonna match up beautifully with these little baits here, color and everything. So that's a fish head spin, 3/8 ounce, albino colored, and that's gonna go perfectly with those flukes. You're gonna be dragging that along deep bottom, deep channels. I think Kickin' Their Bass TV just released a video on, he's a big fish head spin guy. He just released his video on how to fish them and when he fishes them in the wintertime. That'd be a great video to look at if you're interested in throwing the fish head spin. Along the deep water lines, I picked up some baits that I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about. Our wintertime staple everywhere you hear about it, but I've never tried them. Blade baits. Yes, these are Bass Pro Shop brand blade baits. I know, you're gonna hate on me. I got these at Bass Pro. I threw them in the unboxing just because I really like the look of these Bass Pro ones. I didn't see some of the ones I was looking for on Tackle Warehouse, so I just went with these and I threw them in because I knew these were great wintertime baits, so they went perfectly with this unboxing. They're both in ½ ounce, in silver and gold. And again, be fishing these deep, yo-yoing them, slowly dragging them along the bottom. Something about a blade, something about metal baits in the winter. I don't know why, but you hear a lot of good stuff about, you know, fish head spin, blade baits, jig and spoons. Hear good stuff about them. So can't wait to try these. I'm really excited about those. Next up, I went with some hard baits. These are the Rapala Shadow Rat. A lot of them have been named many times the best cold water crankbait you can buy, and I didn't have any. So I went ahead and picked up a few. These two are in the 7 size. This is in natural shad, and this is in brown craw, I believe. Dark brown crawdad, sorry. And this one is a little 5 size in olive green craw. So it just throwing these on light line spinning rods or really light bait casting equipment, can't wait to try this out. Banging on rip rops, fishing them dead slow. I've heard of some great success with these, and I cannot wait to try them out. Sticking with crankbaits in the Rapala lineup, I went with a DT6. This was one of the key baits that Randy Howell used to win the 2014 Classic, and I've caught some good fish on them, so I went ahead and picked up another one and figured I'd throw it in this winter unboxing because it works great in the wintertime too. As a nice subtle action, a little bit different than a Shad Rap, but got one in olive green cod, DT6, great medium diving crankbait. As long as we're talking about crankbaits, might as well talk about the Wiggle Wart. These are some of my favorite crankbaits, especially in cold water. Cold, clear water, you're going to be fishing these around rocks, crawdads. These are just a staple everywhere you go, and a lot of the clear water poundments around me here in Virginia, these baits seem to work. I've had some good luck. The biggest fish I ever had hit one of these baits was a 6-7 pounder. It totally caught me off guard, and unfortunately my drag was set wrong, and the hook set never even drove the hooks home. It was only on for a second. It crashed on the surface through the Wiggle Wart. It was a real shame, but so I know they can get big fish, so I cannot wait to try out these again. Hopefully this year will be the year we connect with that big one and it stays hooked up. Let's go with more crankbaits, but let's go with lipless crankbaits. Here I've got some of the half-ounce red-eye shads in several different patterns. I've got one here in chili crawl, chrome, blueback, like that color. Here I've got a chartreuse shad, which is more of it's a sexy shad pattern, but a little bit more transparent, and the yellow line is a little bit more highlighted like a chartreuse color. And then just a half-ounce gizzard check color. These are going to be great. You know, really, I've been catching a lot of good fish on lipless crankbaits in the last few weeks. Actually caught some recently in a cold water pond here in December. So, great baits because they have a super tight, the thing about a lipless crankbait is it's a super tight wobble. So it's going to be, you know, that tighter wobble, subtle action is going to make it a very effective in cold water when they just don't see wide erratic stuff. Everything slows down in cold, the metabolism slows down. You know, they're not warm-blooded. Fish aren't warm-blooded. They're cold-blooded creatures, so they slow down. So therefore, this imitates the slowing down. Those little bait fish just making little movements. They're not moving a lot. Something about lipless crankbaits and big fish go hand in hand. Next up, last hard bait, I believe, is we've got a Rick Clun. A Rick Clun RC Sticks Jerkbait, and I love these jerkbaits. If you haven't seen some of my older videos, which aren't that great by the way, but you've seen I've caught some good fish on here before. This one's in Pro Blue. Honestly, for the money, I think you cannot beat this jerkbait. It's caught me so many good fish. I absolutely love it. You know, this is basically a knockoff of the Vision 110 if you don't know by Megabass. But this bait, I feel like, for the money, when I can get 3 of these compared to 1 Megabass, and I have fished the Megabass, and I don't see a major difference. So, super excited to throw this. I've said that a lot. I don't care. Next on the list, we're going to go to Jigs. Jigs are a staple cold water bait, and I just had to pick up a few. First off, I'm going to try these 2 new ones by Strike King, well, semi-new, the Denny Brower Structure Head jig, and these are half-ounce in green pumpkin and blue craw, and I really am interested to see how these work. I hear a lot of good things about them. It's kind of a football cross between a regular football and a regular head, so it shoots slide through cover a little bit better than a regular football jig, and that flatter head is supposedly good at skipping docks too, which is a big deal that I like to do in the wintertime is throw at docks. So if these do work out, that'll be some nice catches. But I also went with just my regular jigs. In the wintertime, I'm usually fishing deeper. I'm usually wanting my bait to sit on the bottom. They seem to be more bottom oriented. At least that seems to be my theory. It seems like a lot of times fish will either get tight to the bottom or they'll suspend. So went with some half-ounce jigs here just to stay down on the bottom, fishing deeper. Half-ounce hack attack jigs, love these jigs. And then I went with a 3/8 ounce just to be a bit lighter, skip, maybe a slower fall. Really just depends on where I'm fishing. Will determine what I'm fishing those jigs are. And to go with, accompany them, I've got some Zoom big salty chunks. These big chunks are going to slow down the fall of that jig, so in that cold water it gets a really slow fall. They also have very, very little action. These big appendages, so it's going to slow down everything, make it look more natural. Got some in green pumpkin and black and blue, just based on where I'm fishing, watercolor. Those are usually my two favorite color plastics. If I'm going to buy a new plastic I've never tried, I'm going to get it in green pumpkin and black and blue. So, got some of those to go with the jigs. We're running down here. Next up, we've got some tour grade swimming jigs. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, what? Why are these in a winter baits unboxing swim jigs? But personally, from my personal experience, I have caught some big fish in the wintertime on a swim jig. Something about it, especially fish slow. I'm not talking the traditional pop your rod, fishing it fast. This is a slow deal. So I got them in my two favorite colors, a white and a bluegill color. That's gonna imitate shad and bluegill. I'm gonna throw these, usually in the wintertime I want it to be more subtle, so I'm either gonna go with a grub or a single swim bait on the back of these rather than say a craw trailer or something. I'm gonna be crawling it super slow, maybe twitching it out of the grass. I feel this is a great alternative to a lipless crankbait in that it's natural, but you can fish it higher in the water column because it's lighter. So that wraps up my winter unboxing for this year. I got a lot of great baits. I cannot wait to try them out. Hopefully you'll start seeing me catching some fish on them in these newer videos. And I hope you learned something today. I hope you maybe got interested in some baits you haven't tried yet. And I hope if you go out and try any of these baits, let me know if you have any success with them. Just sound off in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Obsessed Fishing.